Okay, let's start a new vlog here. My name is Keely. Hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, like I said, my name is Keely. I talk a lot about books. I read all of the things, but I'm also working my way through the process of maybe applying for a PhD program in the fall. I had planned to start this vlog earlier, but then the day kind of got away from me, but we just had an earthquake. In Pennsylvania, which is very unusual. There was one actually in New Jersey. It was either like a 4.7 or a 4.8 because I'm in Pennsylvania, north of Philadelphia, so southeast. We felt it here, and my husband is at work in New Jersey, and he texted me too, and he was like, "What's going on?" That was wild. But I owe you guys a reading update. I sat here this morning and I read the next chapter in China in 10 Words, so now I'm about halfway through it. Really enjoying this one. I've read People, Leader, Reading, and Writing, and next I'm up to Lu Xun? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's Xun. That will be the next chapter that I'm reading. I also have been charging my iPad, which completely died, so that I can read another chapter in Ali Abdaal's book. I want to get that done today. I also have mascara all over my freaking face, but whatever. I have also been reading the rest of the chapter that I'm in The Making of Asian America, so I can get to the next one after that. So I'm just trying to get a ton of reading done today. I have a couple things on my list of stuff to do for work, but other than that, I'm just trying to get caught up on all of my reading and all of the things that I want to get done. I also have another book haul, but I have a crap ton of stuff I want to get done right now, so I'll have to do a book haul later. Is it going to be a vlog if I don't do a book haul? I mean, it certainly doesn't seem like it, so I will update you guys later. In a couple hours, and I'm actually getting ready to sign out of work because I'm just not feeling great, very just wiped out from the week, honestly. But I wanted to come on here and give you a little bit of an update. So I think maybe on my last update, I said that I was reading. I did finish the chapter in The Making of Asian America. So the next chapter now is, I think, chapter 9. And it's chapter 8, and it says, "We have heard much of America, Filipinos in the U.S. Empire." We'll be moving into that chapter shortly. Also wanted to show you the books that I got. So my husband has been in a reading kick lately, and he read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and then was like, well, I want another one. So I went and I got him Night Film by Marsha Pessl, and he's reading that one, and then he's almost done. So he's like, I need another book. So I went to the thrift store hoping I could find him the first book in the Richard Osman mystery series, but I couldn't find it. Instead, I found The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz, which I think is the one that I read, and it was good, but there's a character that's really fat phobic for no reason. That was kind of annoying, but my husband's gonna read that one next. So while I was there, of course, then I looked, and there must be book clubs in the area that offload all of their books, because I found so many copies of 2 of the same book. I found a copy of Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I actually found 4 different copies of this one, but I picked this cover because I like this one the best. I don't know anything about this other than that people really like it and they made it into a show or a movie. The other one that I found 1 billion copies of was this one, which is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. And I also don't know anything about this one. I'm very excited to have these 2 now added to my massive collection. I already do not have shelf space for all of the books that I've been purchasing that have to do with East Asia, but that's okay. Then I found 3 other books that I was also super excited to find. So the first one is Oh Beautiful by Jung Yun. This one is from the author of the book Shelter, which I read a couple years ago, and it was really brutal. I think is Shelter the one where it's an older couple and the woman is outside naked in the middle of the night, and then it ends up being a whole thing? Was that Shelter? That one was weird. I read that one, so I'm excited to have this one, which is about a freelance writer. And then I grabbed 2 nonfiction that I'm very excited for. One is Geisha, A Life by Minako Iwasaki with Randy Brown. And this one is all about Minako, who was it says Japan star geisha until she retired at the age of 29. She now lives in Kyoto suburbs with her family. This one sounds very interesting. Super excited to have some nonfiction that has to do with geishas in order to supplement my knowledge, but very excited to have this one. So I want to read this one, and then also maybe I'll read this one and then also read Memoirs of a Geisha and see how they compare. And then the final one that I picked up is this one, which is Factory Girls from Village to City in a Changing China by Leslie Chang. And this one is following the life of a couple migrant workers in China. And so this one's another nonfiction, and it sounds, again, really interesting. So I don't know who is offloading all of their books, but I very much appreciate the fact that they were. I then gathered all of the questions that I have been coming up with and put them in a Google Doc and sent it to my husband and asked him, like, can you review all these questions? If you, like, no, he knows me, obviously, but I was like, what do you think I'm trying to ask by all of these questions? Do they make sense? Are they coherent? Does it make you have any questions? If yes, please add them. And where are there areas that you think I'm like missing stuff, basically. Send that to him. Once he's done reviewing it, then I'm going to ask a couple friends if they can review and do the same thing so that I can start up the next chapter in where research begins, which I might do anyway, because I just really want to read this one. Then I also need to, grab my iPad because that should be done charging now and get some reading done. But like I said, not feeling great, so I'm waiting for something to be done with work and then I'm gonna go lay down. But my plan for this weekend is to get a crap ton of reading done and just take it easy because this week was kind of brutal. Okay, I owe you guys a reading update. It is now Monday of the following week. I had planned to update you guys over the weekend and film some of the stuff that we did over the weekend, and then I didn't. We went hiking and then went to a place called Micro Center that is a computer store in order to get a bunch of stuff for my desktop, which is that behind me, because my husband built it for me in 2014, because right as we started grad school in the beginning of the end of 2013, my laptop died. So he built me a desktop. So I've had it for 10 years and it just desperately needed an upgrade with, like, the motherboard was 10 years old and the graphics card was pretty freaking old and the RAM was very, very old. We did that and then we ended up just kind of hanging out for the rest of the day on Saturday. And then we did end up going to a bookstore and cafe. So I have a book to show you guys that I got there that I did end up finishing. Not at the cafe, I finished it at home. That was really fun. And then Sunday we just did chores around the house and he finished putting together my computer and we just hung out. And then, oh, the most exciting thing from Sunday that we did was we finally, I got him to watch The Sword in the Stone with me, which is a 60s super duper old but amazing Disney movie that he had never seen before and I had seen. And then I also found out that he's never seen The Page Master. So now I have to figure out where I can watch The Page Master and watch that with him too. He did not have cable growing up, so he didn't get to see a lot of the Disney movies that I did. We've been trying to fix that, like having him watch all of these old Disney movies with me. It was amazing. Sword in the Stone still holds up really well, except for there's one song that's not great, and there's a point where Merlin and Arthur, King Arthur, well, he's not King Arthur, he's just Arthur at the time, are turned into squirrels, and there are girl squirrels that are really into them, and Arthur's like asking for help, like, leave me alone, stop. And Merlin just starts singing a song about how, like, oh, it doesn't matter how much you resist. I'm like, I know you're talking about fictional squirrels, but can we not have songs like this for kids? Can we not have songs like this for anyone? We had a fun time watching that movie. Let me grab this other book. We were walking around. We went first to a furniture store and we're looking at a new coffee table, doing very adulty things. And then I was like, I kind of want a coffee. And so we went to a cafe and bookstore, just Barnes & Noble, nothing fancy. And we got coffee. And then he was like, do you want to find a book and like hang out? And I was like, yeah, duh, I always do. We walked around until I found a book that I had never heard of. And this is a collection of short stories called Land of Big Numbers by T-Ping Chen. And it was amazing. It is all set within the backdrop of the Chinese Cultural Revolution and was just really, really interesting. There's only like 6 or 7 short stories in here, but I read the first one when we were sitting in the cafe and then ended up coming home and finishing it. It was wonderful. I loved this one so much. So happy that I got it. So if you're looking for a nice short story collection set in the backdrop of the Chinese Cultural Revolution, highly recommend Land of Big Numbers. That one was really good. And then other books that I have been reading for my work book club. And after reading the first part, I was like, ooh, I don't know if this was a good choice for my work book club. We're supposed to be reading 2 books. One is Beloved by Toni Morrison, which I did start, but I haven't picked it up in a while, so I need to do that. And the second one is Fledgling by Octavia Butler that I had not started until last night. But this copy, do you see how tiny that font is? That sucks. So thankfully my library had a digital copy, so I got an ebook copy and have been reading it with increased font on my Kindle. I read the first 50 pages last night before I fell asleep. This one is her vampire novel, and it is questionable at the beginning because the vampire looks like a little girl who's like 10 or 11 and immediately has a sexual relationship with an older man. And I know that it's a vampire. I know it's fictional. I know she's technically older because she is a vampire, and she says many times that like she's definitely not, like somehow she ended up in this body of this little girl, but she's not actually a little girl. I know that, but still, it's not great. And I know Octavia Butler likes to play with relationships a lot, and like what's taboo and what's not. I didn't know that for this particular book going into it. So as I'm reading it, I was like, oh shit, this is a book that I chose for work. God. So I know at least one person has read it in the book club. Hopefully no one else. I'll have to like look up articles talking about it and post in the group chat and be like, I'm so sorry. But so we're reading that one. I'm having a wonderful time with it. I think it's great. I love Octavia Butler so much. So if I was reading this on my own, I would still find it kind of uncomfortable, but it's Octavia Butler, so I would be enjoying it. And the first 50 pages went by very, very fast, so it's not going to take me that long to get through. But yeah, that was an interesting part to read when I got to that, and I was like, oh shit. But anyway, reading that one, and then also made progress in 2 other books. I read the next section for China in 10 Words, and I'm like halfway through Revolution, which is I think like the longest one. So as you can see, I am now over halfway through. Freaking loving this one so much. I've been like highlighting stuff as I go, so what I will do after is go through with tabs and tab it off, and then I want to go in, because this is for a class. I will try to, if I remember, to link the class down below through edX. That is just a I'm taking the free version, and it is a Chinese book club class where the professor interviewed 4 Chinese authors, and we're going to read the books. And so it's one of those like at your own pace classes. So I'm trying to finish that one so then I can do the next couple sections of the course and watch the interviews and stuff, and then move on to the next book. And I'm not sure what the next one is. I think the next one might be Red Sorghum, but I can't remember. I've been reading that one. I also finished the chapter that I was in Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. Freaking also really loving this one. It's so fascinating. So I'm now up to chapter 5. I'm not that long in this one at all. I put it down to read that short story collection. I really want to get back to both of these today. If I could read at least another chapter in this one and finish Revolution in this one, I think that would be amazing. I have not picked back up Where Research Begins over the last couple days because I grabbed all of my questions and all of the things that I've been thinking about and put them in a Google Doc, and then asked a couple friends if they would be willing to review it and add any questions that they come up with or have any notes, things that I should consider, that kind of stuff. So just waiting for them to do that, and then I will continue on with this one. I think I'm going to ask like 1 or 2 other people to also do that, just to like pad it, because I don't know how long it's going to take people to get to. It's obviously not like homework, so I want them to get to it whenever they can. And then I also have not picked up in the last couple of days The Making of Asian America. I do want to do that because your girl bought more books. Book Outlet is having, or they were having, I don't know if they still are by the time this video goes up, but a nonfiction book sale. And they had a couple of the books that have been on my list for reading about Asian America. And of course I had to get them. So I think I got like 6 books for like $30, which is heckin' cheap compared to buying them full price on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or even going to like an independent bookstore. And I know I should go to the independent bookstores more often instead of relying on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but I'm lazy. And so that's why I do what comes easiest or like fastest. For this one, Making of Asian America, I am up to chapter 8, which is We Have Heard Much of America, Filipinos in the U.S. Empire. So I mean, this one's a long ass chapter. It is from page 174 to 190, and that's not that long. But I want to get there. And then it moves into immigration, border enforcement, military, incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II. Okay, so then it starts getting into World War II and until present day, and that is the part that I'm like really interested in. I'm still very interested in the beginning part and learning how much we suck. And like there's the Chinese Exclusion Act, but then a version of that for every other possible group of people that identify as Asian or that we told them that they identified as Asian. We just suck so much. But I'm much enjoying this one, so I want to continue reading on. And then I also have one that is unrelated to any of this, but it's called A Square Meal, A Culinary History of the Great Depression. And that one was recommended to me by my friend, and he said it was really, really fascinating, so I kind of do want to read that one too. And then I just have like all these other books that I'm getting to. So I am making progress. I am very slowly working my way through and finishing books. It's just taking a really long time because I'm reading so many. And then, oh, I need to read another chapter in Ali Abdaal's book because I've been taking forever to get back to that one. So as soon as I find what I did with my iPad, I will do that. But today I have a crap ton of stuff to do because Friday I ended up leaving work a little bit early. I was over 40 hours by that point, but I ended up leaving work a little early because my stomach was just like, no. So I need to find, oh, there it is, my iPad. Also, I pulled out after reading Land of Big Numbers that I really, really want to start. The World Turned Upside Down. My husband and I also on our hike were talking about the Chinese Cultural Revolution. I want to get started into that one. But now what I need to do is my 30-minute start of the day that I've been doing for the last like week or so, which is listening to an episode of the Squiggly Careers podcast, taking notes in my development diary from there, plan out my day, and see how much I can get done. I'm going to try to make it productive in that I know I have a couple big tasks that I have to get done today that I said I would turn in by Friday and then forgot about because my stomach hurt so bad. I want to get those done, and then there's other things that are like ongoing. So I think there's 3 things for today that need to get done in the next 8 hours, and I think I can totally do that. Let's figure out what the hell I'm doing from here on out. But I need to stop procrastinating now and get work done. Okay, I need to wrap up this vlog because I realized that it's later in the week than I normally would prefer to have a vlog still going, so I want to wrap this one up. I have completed 2 books this week, which was great. I'm very happy that I did so. One was Ali Abdaal's book, Feel Good Productivity, which I did end up really enjoying. He basically pulled together a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of ideas from other people that do the work and or like have done that type of work, doing research into productivity and mental health, and I think he did a good job of it. I really enjoyed his book. I would say that it's kind of falls into the same category as every self-help productivity book out there, and that the focus is really on like example after example after example, and it's like, I get it. And I appreciate that at the end of each chapter he had like a TLDR like summary page. Definitely appreciate that, but there were definitely times when I was like, okay, I've read 2 examples, I don't need more. Finished that one, really enjoyed it. Did end up sharing some stuff from it with my husband. The thing that I like the most from it, there's really 2 things. One is the idea, which is the whole book, that when you feel better and you have a better like environment, you do more because you want to do more because you feel better. And so being someone that has chronic illness and mental health issues, it's definitely like, yeah, I wish everybody knew that like, it's not like I'm trying to be lazy or something. It's that I have nothing to give on this particular day. I am out of spoons. And so I really appreciate that there is a very popular self-help book now, productivity book, that incorporates that. I think that's very important. The other thing was this idea of pushing back against the concept of mindfulness all the time and being really mindful in what you're doing, which is good. Like, you still want to be, but he talked about how that can actually add more pressure if you're already overloaded, and to try to be mindful about something when it might be better for you to just do like mindless tasks. So instead of, you know, starting on an art project and your goal is to finish the project, just do it because you like doing it, and it doesn't matter how far you get or how much progress you make. Like, just do these mindless tasks that bring you joy as a way to like decompress. And I thought that was great. I really like that. The other book that then I finished is this one for my book club, the online class that I am taking. So this one was China in 10 Words, and I would say that I got a lot out of it for most of the words. Some of them he kind of just went off and talked about random stuff, which is totally fine. It's his book. He can do whatever he wants. But the ones that I got the most out of, I think, were Leader, Reading, Revolution, and Grassroots. I thought was really interesting. Copycat was also really interesting. So now what I want to do is go onto edX and take all of the, like, do all of the sessions that have to do with that book, so then I can move into the second book. And I think the next one is Red Sorghum. So when I start my vlog, as soon as I end this one, I will probably be reading Red Sorghum. And then last night I couldn't sleep at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I did try reading a book from Kindle Unlimited that was a romance that has to do with like gaming, and I forget what it's called, but it's like role playing or something. I will put the cover right here. And one thing I thought was really cool when I started reading it was that the main characters are older. So not like older, like the woman is 48 and the man is 50, which is pretty cool because you typically don't see like over 30 in romance books, so, or at least any that get marketed to me or that I noticed. That was pretty interesting. However, I did not end up wanting to read that book because I read the first chapter, which is all about her, and hers was interesting. She is a freelance editor living at home. Her son has just gone off to college. She's divorced and just living her own life, and then introduced him in the second chapter that he's 50 and has worked in hospices and moved back home when his dad got really sick, and then his dad dies, and so he lives with his mom now. But his mom is horrible, like a horrible person, and the like emotional manipulation and abuse from his mom was a little bit too real, and I don't want to read about my own family. So I was like, you know what, maybe this is not for me. So I ended up not reading that one, but that's okay because there are plenty of other books on my Kindle and that I own and that I'm currently reading that I could be working through. I just decided I wanted to try something new. Today's goal is to complete the vlog, get it edited, posted, and then start another one. I have meetings today from 9:30 to 1:30 back to back, and then after that I have some tasks to get done. So today might be an energy drink kind of day to get me through it, and then maybe the gym later, or at least we have a stationary bike. Maybe I'll ride a stationary bike depending on how my husband feels, if he wants to go to the gym or not. I need to wrap up this video, stop procrastinating, and thank you everyone. If you watch this video, if you've been watching them, really appreciate it. Appreciate you. Hope y'all are doing well, and that's it. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.